This problem is going to deal with uniform motion. It takes Jake 5 hours to travel 98 miles in a canoe. For 11 miles of the trip, he travels 5 miles per hour less than the rest of the trip. How fast was he traveling during those 11 miles? Now, with uniform motion, we know that distance is equal to our rate times time. D equals RT. Now, if we rearrange it, we get T equal to distance over rate. So during this trip, he travels at 2 different speeds. We see in this problem, there's 2 parts of the trip. There's 11 miles that he travels 5 miles per hour less, and the remaining, which is 87 miles, he goes at basically at his regular speed. So we basically want to find out how much time he spends going the 11 miles and how much time he spends going the 87 miles. We know that during the 87 miles he's traveling at x some speed, and during the 11 miles he's traveling 5 miles per hour less, or x minus 5. Alright, so we can set up this equation like this. So at the 87 miles, which is our distance, and over our rate, which is x, we add the 11 miles, which is distance, over his rate, which is x minus 5. So if you see what we're doing, you got distance over rate for each of these, which is t, or time. We add up the time for each part of the trip. It's going to add up to the 5 hours for how long it took him to complete the trip. So that's how you set it up. The distance over rate, 87 over x, and 11 over x minus 5 are your 2 times distance over rate. And those 2 times added together give you your total time for the trip, which is 5 hours. So all we need to do here is solve for x. So here we're basically adding 2 fractions. And when you add fractions, you need a common denominator in order to add them. So what we're going to do here, our common denominator is just going to be those 2 multiplied together, x times x minus 5. So we will write the denominators as x times x minus 5 for each section here. And what we need to add on top is what we're missing, basically what we added to the bottom. So we originally had an x on the bottom here. We multiplied by x minus 5, so we need to multiply by x minus 5 on the top to make it the same, because basically if those cancel out, you end up with the 87 over x again. And over here, we originally had an x minus 5, so we need to multiply an x on top. And here originally had basically a 1 underneath, so we need to multiply the x and the x minus 5. Now when you have all the same denominators, you can really just multiply everything by x times x minus 5, which would basically cancel out all the denominators, which just leaves you with 87 times x minus 5 plus 11x equals 5x times x minus 5. Alright, so we have one equation here with one variable. We're going to solve for x. So let's multiply this out. 87x minus 435 plus 11x equals 5x squared minus 25x. Alright, so there's two x terms on the left hand side here. I'm going to combine those. Give me 98x minus 435 equals 5x squared minus 25x. Alright, so if I move everything to the same side, it's going to leave me with 5x squared. I'm going to subtract 98x from both sides. It's going to be negative 124x. With the 435 over, it's going to be plus 435 equals 0. Look here, we got an x squared term, an x term, and a constant equals 0, so we can use the quadratic formula to solve for x. Alright, so with our equation, remember the 5 is going to be the a, negative 24 is going to be the b, 435 is going to be the c. So remember the quadratic equation is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Alright, so that's going to give us a negative 124 plus or minus the square root of negative 124 squared minus 4 times 5 times 435 all over 2 times 5 . Okay, so negative 124 gives you a positive 124 plus or minus square root negative 124 squared gives you 15,376, and 4 times 5 times 435 gives you 8,700, and then 2 times 5 gives you 10. Now this value in here comes out to be 6,676. Here I'm going to type this in my calculator to get the answers. So I'm going to do 124 plus the square root of 6,676 divided by 10. Alright, so that's going to give me about 20.6. Now if I do 124 minus the square root of 6,676 divided by 10, I get about a 4.2. Now remember, our two speeds are x and x minus 5. If we choose the 4.2, it's going to be 4.2 minus 5. It's going to give us a negative speed, so that basically tells us that that's not the answer. So our answer is going to be 20.6. And then we subtract 5 to give us 15.6. So during those 11 miles when he was traveling slower, he was traveling at 15.6 miles per hour.